Hey everyone, this is me, the Undead Viking, and this is Ringleader. Ringleader is a game for 2 to 5 people in which each person is going to take on the role of a small-time drug dealer and hopefully work their way up the echelon and become your own version of Scarface, or I can't remember the name of the really powerful guy in The Wire, which was a great show. Everybody should watch The Wire, right? Anyway. So, Ringleader is, it's a bit of a throwback game. It is going to be a game that has a giant board, and the board is actually made up of several different smaller boards. And the players are going to be moving around those boards, trying to make deals, trying to get their illicit goods past customs, trying to smuggle them into different locations, and buying low and selling high, just like any like good businessman would do. But the problem is, in this case, we are dealing with illegal items. We're dealing with illegal drugs. This is a game that is more for the experience, in my opinion, than it is for the winning and losing of the game. And I'll talk more about that at the very end of this video. But let me show you how the game is played and kind of show you what you're going to be looking at. It isn't a tough game to play. I mean, it is a roll and move game. And I know, like, oh, everybody's like, roll and move. Just bear with me and let me show you the game, because don't close your mind off to what could be a very, very fun experience for you and your gaming group. So let me show you this giant board, and then we'll come back here and I'll give you my final thoughts. Okay, these are all of the boards that you're going to be using when you play Ringleader. Now, as I said, there's quite a few, and I know a lot of you are looking at this like, what the heck is going on? All right, now normally these all wouldn't be all bunched together like this. They're just like that for this video. The reason for that is each one of these has a distinctive stash house where you're going to be keeping your illicit goods, and your illicit goods will be the drugs that you have. Here's some like weed or whatever, opium and so forth, and then you actually will tuck those drugs underneath with your marker to show that those are yours, and then you can come back and get them at a later time. Now, the reason why you stash, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, the reason why you will stash certain drugs is when you leave a certain area, you are only allowed to carry a certain amount with you, depending on if you're a boat or a plane. So if you've got too much drugs on you, you're going to have to leave some behind. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Just let me explain what you're looking at here. So you start off here at the streets, and everybody has a stash house here at the streets, and you're going to be trying to make enough money that will allow you then to buy a stash house in high society. Now, this is kind of a pyramid type game. You start low, and as you work up, you're going to be buying different stash houses in different locations, both in North America, on the East and West Coast. Here's North America up here. Also in South America, you have Europe, and you also have Asia over there. And of course, prison. And of course, prison is bad, because if you get caught, that's where you're going to go. And plus, when you're in prison, you can't make any money, and this whole game is about making a bunch of money and retiring as a like a drug kingpin type of thing. So you're not going to be doing any of that if you are in prison when you do it. But let me just show you this little board here. This is the Empire list. And it has all these things that you have to purchase. From starting over here, all the way down, all the way to your retirement mansion here. And these are represented as you buy them. You will have these pieces of paper that show that you have purchased those. And if you look on these, so it's like you start, the high society stash house must be your first purchase. And so now you have an East Coast stash house. You must own this. Must own before purchasing a stash house in North America or Asia. And here's the West Coast stash house. You have to own this before purchasing one in South America or Europe, and so on. So you have to go ahead and slowly move up the chain. And and certain things actually do things like the airplane and boat. Normally, after you own an airplane and boat, you don't have to use the boats or the planes that are located in those locations. You can use your own, and you no longer have to pay money. The weight restrictions still apply, but you have those options. And then there's some that you just have to do it. Like you have to buy a cover business when you have cash over $1 million. You have to buy an island when your cash reaches $3 million. And here's the retirement mansion. It's like build your retirement mansion and must be bought to win the game. That's usually going to be the last one that you purchase. All right, so now you kind of have an idea of how the game is played. And you might have noticed there is a spinner on here. I might as well tell you that real quick. Anytime that you travel, like you have to go through a customs, so you're flying or you're on a boat, what you're going to do is you're going to spin this, and I'm tilting it so this isn't going to be completely accurate because it isn't down. So you're going to have certain things happen. So a longtime friend of the fishing business makes it look easy. Time to get paid. That means you just got free. But if you end up on busted, that means you end up going to jail. And whenever you go to, or prison, I should say, whenever you go to prison, you get to keep your money, but any drugs you have on you, you lose. And I'll talk more about prison here in just a little bit. But here's like bad weather, you lose a turn, you get a favor. So, and then here's one problem: you lose 5% of your cash bribing an international police. That was close, but now you make it. It's better than being busted, right? So just remember, you have to spin this every time that you. I'm gonna see if I. Oh nope, it's not. I didn't get busted. All right, so that is what that is in that other board. All right, so how does the game work? Well, the game works pretty simply. As long as you aren't in prison, you're going to just roll 2 dice and you're going to move clockwise around the board. Yes, this is a roll and move game, just like those old classics, and I'll talk about that a little bit in my final thoughts here. But you're just going to roll the dice and you're going to move. So there would be 10, and you're going to move your pawns. So you just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's like, buy nice clothes, lose $3,000. No, I don't want to buy nice clothes. But, that's unfortunately what happened. But aside from, buying your new wardrobe, what you want to do is you want to land on these supplier locations. And these allow you to purchase different types of drugs, which, again, are like these little pieces of paper, hash or, weed or, just classic cocaine or what have you. And then when you have those, then you can hopefully land on these buyer locations. Then those people will buy those from you. And obviously you're going to purchase the drugs at a low cost and sell them at a higher cost. Hopefully what you're going to be doing is you're going to make enough money that you're going to move forward, and you are going to be able to purchase, the next stash house, so you can travel to high society. You're going to purchase that passport so you can leave the country, those sorts of things. There's 2 other types of spots on the board. There are like the hookups and the hook down locations. You can see there's hookups here and hook downs. Now, as you might have noticed, there's no hook down. There are some bad things where you get pulled over and you lose a turn, or you lost that $3,000 for having to buy a new coat or whatever. But the hookups are good things. Hookups are cards that allow you just to kind of break the rules, mostly moving things. So it's like, here's a card that says like move to the nearest supplier square. Or it says, just something that says move 2 spaces forward. There are some that will allow you to actually like just move to any space in your current location. And like probably one of the best ones is the one that allows you to receive your next purchase on the Empire list for free of any value. So if you can hold on to that till the very end, you can save a lot of money by not having to spend that $1.3 million on your mansion. When you land on a hookup, you just grab that card. You can't use it right then. The moment when you get that hookup card, and there are get out of jail free cards, which is kind of cool. But you can't use it that turn. But in subsequent turns, you can use it, and you can use as many of them as you want on your turn. So like if you have a situation where you like have a move forward 2 and then back 1 type of thing, and you want to land on a supplier, like you could move forward 2 and then back 1 to like manage to land on the spot that you wanted. That's completely a viable option that you can use your cards for. Now the hook downs, which are over here, these are just bad things. They're never going to be anything good. So it's like feds raid your house looking for automatic guns and find nothing, but you lose 2 turns and 5% of your cash repairing the damages. Now there's a rule. They basically say make sure you have either a calculator or your phone so you can use the calculator. So you're going to round to the nearest $1,000 because this is your cash, and like the lowest denomination that you have in the game is $1,000. So you want to make sure that whenever you like lose money, like you are going to round to the nearest $1,000. There are some things here. It's like you can even like see the Fed sees like your most valuable asset from the Empire list. You must repurchase it immediately and lose 2 turns signing the paperwork. If you're unable to purchase it, you go directly to prison. So hook downs are never a good thing. And the thing with hook downs is if you land on a hook down and then you land on another hook down the next turn, you immediately go to prison. You don't even draw a card. You just get it. So try to avoid landing on those if you can, which is another reason why you hold on to these hookup cards. So in case something bad happens, you can play those when they happen. Now, the thing about prison, if you do end up in prison, you only roll 1 die. So it takes you a long time to get out. Now, there are lots of ways that you can get out of prison. There are places where like your charges are dropped and you're free. You can roll for a parole here, like on a 1, 3, or 5, you get out. You can bond out. You pay 5% of your cash or a 10% fine. So you can get out, but you got to make sure that you land on the right spots. To get out of prison. You want to get out of prison as fast as you possibly can. The whole point of this game is that you're just going to be moving quickly around the board and trying to expand as much as possible. Try not to run out of money. Like, it's always good to have drugs because of the fact that you can usually sell them, but if you run out of cash, you got to hope to land on these spots that give you, like, here, make $15,000 on a Coke deal with an old friend. So, like, you just get the cash without having to have any of your stash. To win the game, you have to purchase everything on that Empire list that you've shown here, but you also can't have any drugs anywhere left over. You have to have completely sold out of your product, because the idea is that you're retiring and you're kind of going quasi-legit, and you've wiped your hands clean of the business and nobody can trace it back to you. So if you've like gone to Asia and you left a bunch of Coke there because you couldn't carry it back, you got to make sure you get back to Asia and find some place to sell all that Coke. And the thing is that like later on in the game, you don't have like 5K of weed. You've got like 100 kilograms of Coke or hash or whatever, and you're desperately looking for somebody to purchase that and buy it off of you. But if you are managed to do the whole thing and manage to like buy everything on the Empire list, sell off all your product, you are the winner and you get declared the ringleader and the winner of the game. Now, this is obviously not my standard type of game that I play. This is very reminiscent of older games that I played when I was a kid. And this is not, as I said, this is a roll and move game. It has different things. Oh, and there was one other thing. There is interaction you can do. Players can, if they land on the same stash house, they can at that point do deals. They can say, hey, I'll give you these drugs if you give me this money. I'll sell you this hookup card that I have if you give me this money, that sort of thing. That is complete, but you have to both be on the same stash house when you do it. Also, it should be mentioned that stash houses and like airports and things like that, these spots, you can land on them no matter what you roll. So if you need to leave and you're like on that spot and you roll the dice and you get a 7, you can go 1, 2, 3 and then leave on the airport and go. You don't have to land directly on the airport or to land directly on the stash house. You can just go in there as long as you rolled a high enough number. So just keep that in mind as well. But as I said, this isn't a game that like is your I'm going to say it was kind of a standard game, and it's still a very standard game that is played by a lot of people that play board games, because of the fact that not everybody who plays board games is into the more designer aspect of our hobby. This is a total throwback game, and I say that with a great deal of happiness because I do enjoy these types of games. And I'm going to tell you a story about how I presented this to my gaming group at like a little local gaming marathon type situation and how well it went over. And I'll tell that in my final thoughts and also give you my final thoughts on the game right now. Oh, there we go. Yay, there we go. Ringleader. So, let me tell you the story. So, I brought this, there was a local, my local game store has a board game night, and I brought this as kind of, I was going to spring it on people, right? And I was going to be like, hey, let's try this game out. And, it was, it's like, kind of like, you have your main gaming group, but then you have like your secondary, not like secondary gaming group, but you have the people that you don't play games with as often as your main gaming group. But they're still, good people, they're good friends. And I sat down, and, truth be told, there was one thing different. I did bring my own poker chips to stand for money. I personally don't really like paper money, and so I did use my own poker chips to represent the cash. But it doesn't matter. It was just one thing I did change when I played it, just as a caveat or as a disclaimer. But what I did was I was like, I want you guys to try this game out, and I said, give it a half hour, and if you don't like it, we can stop playing. And so there were 5 of us, and they had an absolute hoot. And the reason why everybody had fun with it is one thing about the game that's really good. You follow, there's some structure to it, like you have to buy a passport, you have to buy the stash houses to get to other places. But how you go about making your money is completely up to you as far as where I'm going to go, where am I going to try to get am I going to go to Asia and try to get opium to sell otherwise? Am I going to try to get hash in Europe and sell back in America? Things like that. So it's like, it's up to you how you're going to try to make your millions. And that really appealed. Like, it's kind of a sandboxy feel to the game, and in which, you know, is tough to do in board games, but it has that element to it, and they really enjoyed that. But what we enjoyed more than anything else was the fact that we just kind of let the theme of the game and let the play acting of the game kind of consume what we were doing, and we just reveled in our horribleness, if that makes sense. I mean, like, you role play out being this small time dealer that's moving up the chain, and eventually, like, we're quoting The Wolf on Wall Street, you know, the drug stuff in there. We're quoting The Wire. We're talking about old drug, say hello to my little friend, you know, Scarface types, things like that. And we were having a blast doing it. And then we were talking about like the show Narcos and stuff like that, and just like and talking about the movie Sicario, and just things like that where like the theme of the game prompted conversation. And, you know, the fact of the matter is, this isn't a game where you have to really pay attention to what other players are doing. They're just rolling the dice, they're taking the turn, it's your turn, you roll the dice, you're taking your turn. It was a total social game where we were having fun, we were laughing, and like I said, it didn't really matter who won or lost. I think my buddy Tim won, if I remember correctly, but we didn't care, because the fact is we got done playing it, and we were all like, you know, hey, look at my money, and we're like, you know, flashing our cash, and we're, you know, flashing our poker chips, but you know what I'm saying, and we just had a blast. And the thing is that, no, this isn't going to be like the most in-depth strategic Euro that you're ever going to play, but this game isn't pretending to be that at all. It's pretending to be just a fun time to be had with friends that allow you to just kind of live out some really, like, you know, it's like I always said about wrestling, it's more fun to be the bad guy. The heel puts over the face, right? And so the bad guy a good bad guy is integral to have a good hero. And they're almost more important when it comes to certain things. And so being the bad guy and being able to chew the scenery and be able to play out that bad guy, and not a tweener bad guy either. I mean, I'm like a really bad guy, because you're buying and selling drugs. You're a bad guy. But being able to play that out and being able to like kind of live out that weird alternative fantasy while having that cool fun time with your friends is the point of Ringleader, and it delivers in spades. Now, there are variants that are located on the website for the game that allow you to play it quicker. So, like, it can last a little long. That's one thing, is like, if, you know, with the 5 of us, the game did last a couple hours, and so it, you know, because everybody, like, taking a turn, everybody's slowly climbing that ladder trying to gain that money. So it can last long, but there are variants that will shorten that game up and will make it be quicker. So, I mean, there's things like that the designer has taken it upon himself to say, okay, you know, just like if you don't want to play it. But we played it full on, and we had a blast, and I think that if this theme and this like type of game appeals to you, I think you'll have a good time with it too. So, if you have any questions about Ringleader, go ahead and ask away. I'll be happy to answer those as best as I can. As always, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. I really, really do appreciate it. I've been doing this for, I don't know, forever now, and the fact that people still tune in and watch me after all these years really, really means a lot. And as you can tell, like, from my earlier videos when I was upstairs in my kitchen, and then I actually was in a game room, and now I'm in a converted office. You can see the back there. You know, it's like, it's kind of cool to see, like, the progression of the years as they've gone by. So, as always, be the best version of you that you can possibly be. Be the person people want to be around. Remove the negative people and negative situations out of your life, and just live your days as best as you possibly can. The people that you love will appreciate that about you, and they will love you for it. Until next time, this is me, the Undead Viking, telling you happy gaming, and take care of yourself.